Welcome to the Extended Gamut Podcast. We are excited to be here today. We're going to talk about something that I've heard in some conversations, and it's related to photo fine art printers from Epson and Canon. We counted between the 24-inch to 64-inch. There's 14 printer models. How would you ever know which one's right for you? Well, that is what today's episode is going to be all about. All right, we're here to talk about 14 different printer models. It seems like a lot, but when we break it down, I think it's gonna be helpful. So if you're out there looking for a photo fine art printer with archival quality from Canon or Epson, there's a lot of options. So hopefully this podcast will be helpful for you. Take the 20 minutes, listen to it, and it'll help you make a decision. At least that's the goal.
That's the longest I've gone without talking on the podcast.
Good job, Andy.
1:45.
I told him to keep 45. His mouth shut when I'm talking. No.
Yeah, this will be helpful.
Yeah. So Epson, Canon, probably not probably, they are the leaders in the photo fine art, when you're thinking archival quality prints based on purchase data.
Yep.
They would be the top two.
By far.
By far. So we just thought it'd be helpful. We were actually doing some training internally with some people, and we're like, this could be helpful for some other people out there listening, considering printers, just to understand. And there's some new printers out there, right? That have fit into this lineup. So,
I feel like we've done videos on every one of these printers, but they're all segmented and it's just about that printer or that ink set. So we haven't really compiled it all into here's a overview of all the different printers and where they fit and all that.
Yeah. So we thought we would just sort of break down what's available, what are some of the key differences between them, and see where it goes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Where are we going to start?
Well, we have limited this because there's lots of printers to 24 inches. So there are 13-inch, 17-inch printers, but we're just trying to limit the scope here. 24-inch, 44-inch, and 60/64-inch, because Canon will offer a 60-inch, Epson offers 64, but those are sort of the competitive models on that high end. So
what if we do it by the number of inks in the ink set? Because a lot of times there's a 24 and a 44 that are the same 44-inch. They're the same ink set, and it gets. Why don't we start at the bottom?
Okay.
So where you would have 5 or 6 inks.
Perfect.
And then we work our way up until you get to, no spoilers, 12 inks. 12 inks.
When we've reached 12 inks, we are nearing the end. But we're going to start at 6 inks, aren't we?
Are we going to talk about the GP?
We are.
Are we going to talk about the GP 300?
No, we are not.
Okay.
We're going to limit this to the GP 2000.
Okay.
But there are some other 24-inch.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're like professional quality photo fine art.
Yeah. Okay. This is someone looking for my next fine art printer.
Yeah.
Where do I go?
So then let's start with Epson's 6-color P.
That's the P
6570 and P 8570.
And the 6570 is 24-inch. The 8570 is 44-inch. Outside of the width, it's pretty much you're going to get the same thing in terms of the ink density, the gamut,
same print head, same.
You're going to use the same inks. You're going to decide the different.
Yeah, and within that range, you can make some choices whether you want single roll or dual roll, whether you want bulk ink or not bulk ink. But for the purposes of this video podcast, we'll just say, this 6-color ink set. So CMYK.
Yep.
And then a gray ink.
Yep.
And then your black ink is a photo black and a matte black. So those are your 6 colors. So photo black, matte black, yellow, magenta, cyan, gray. And that gray is specifically for like tonality and black and whites, and give you a little more gradient coverage. So that's kind of the most production geared printer, fastest, kind of geared towards the poster side of photo printing.
Yeah. Whereas almost on the fringe and maybe even a little outside of photo fine art.
Yeah. Yep.
And you were talking about Canon too, has some printers, the GP200 and GP300 that might fall into that same category.
Yeah.
So that's like a starting point. And now we're going to move into printers that have 7, 10, 11, and 12 inks that really are going to fit that photo fine art market. So why don't we start with 7 inks? So that's going to give us the Canon GP 4600S and GP 6600S.
Yep.
Which means you're dealing with a 44-inch printer and a 60-inch printer. There is no 24-inch printer available on this GPS line. S for speed, Andrew?
Yeah, I think for speed.
Okay.
Because they have a GP 4600 and 6600 that are not S versions that have more inks, not so focused on speed.
Yeah.
So this is a, what did you say? 7
color.
So it has CMYK.
Yep. And then the matte black.
Matte black.
Because they call it photo black, matte black.
Yep.
And then you're also going to have a gray and an orange.
Orange. Yeah. So orange is kind of that's the extended gamut type ink.
Mm-hmm.
So I think where they position this is towards kind of the graphics, high visibility, but still needing production quality. So similar to what we were just talking about with the P6570, P8570, this is probably on the entry into photo type work.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like, if your priority is, I want the highest quality printer, you would choose different printers from Canon.
Yep. But you have to start somewhere.
You start somewhere, and this gives you great speed. So that's the other thing that is, this is going to excel compared to the other Canon printers
it's like the level of, like, you have professional pickleball players, right? You're familiar with this.
Oh, yeah. No, with the game.
And they have different ratings, and you could be a pro and have certain ratings, but you could also have a different rating and you could be at another level, but you're still maybe a pro, maybe semi-pro.
Okay.
So I would say that the first couple printers we've been talking about are like in the semi-pro league, but they're not going to, maybe
in
they're
terms of quality, like the print quality,
quality.
Semi-pro print quality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking specifically about print quality because there are specific uses for some of these printers that are just perfect for applications. But for this podcast, we're talking about fine art, photo.
Yeah.
The highest gamut, most archivalness. Is that a word?
Archival? I think you just say most archival.
Most archival. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So that's 7 inks. So now we're going to move into, now we're jumping. Now every printer from here on out, you could do some damage with.
These are professional.
These are professional pickleball
printers.
All right. So 10 inks. This is a new addition to Epson's line. So this, I think we first saw this at ISA in April.
Yep.
In the Epson booth. So we're moving towards an Epson printer right now. What's that line we're talking about?
So this is the P7370 and P9370. So this uses, I'm trying to think here. Every printer that we're going to talk about uses the same print head now. So Epson used to have a bunch of different print heads, older generation, newer generation. These all use the 2.6 inch large print head. So all of these printers that we'll discuss from Epson have the larger print head. And this one uses 10 colors. So it uses 10 of the channels.
Yep.
But it will have the same speed and that kind of thing as other printers using this kind of, this newer print head.
Yeah. And this new line, the 7370, the 9370, this is like a replacement of a line that got discontinued for a period of time.
Yep.
And that was the 6000 and 8000.
Yep.
Because there was a time where Epson had a P6000, P7000, P8000, P9000, P10000, P20000. So the 6 and the 8, which is 24 and 44 inch, were discontinued for a period of time, and now they've relaunched the 7370, which is 24 inch, 9370, which is 44 inch.
Yep. And they bumped the ink up from 9 to 10.
9 to 10. So that was so we have CMYK, so that's cyan, magenta, yellow, black.
Yep.
Then you have light cyan, light magenta. So now you're getting into some of that higher color gamut. You get the gray, like you were talking about. in that some of those other printers. You also get the matte black, so you can switch between that. And then you get a light gray and a violet.
Yeah. And the violet is their version of the extended boost to the gamut.
Yeah.
So whereas Canon uses an orange here, they're gonna use a violet.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a great, this would probably be, if you were a photographer or a standard fine artist, this would be the printer that you would start with, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're getting excellent print quality, excellent archivability. They say 200 plus years on the ink. And you only trade-off you're making is you don't have the 11th and 12th color, which really boosts the gamut to places that you don't really need as a photographer, unless you're taking some really like HDR high, really pushing the gamut in the greens or the oranges. Mm-hmm. So this is probably where I would start. And you save some money compared to the P9570 or 7570.
Yeah. It reminds me of if you walk into a car dealership, there's going to be a really nice luxury car. Let's just call it a BMW. And you're like, I'm sophisticated. I'm going to get like a BMW 5 Series, and, they might have like the 550 out. And you could get everything you need to have a professional luxury car, but the next printers we're going to talk about might be like an M5 version of it, where it's like, there's going to be some insanity that you might not need, but there are people out there that are like, no, I definitely need that, or just want to know that I have that. And I think that's the difference you're talking about with the 7370, 9370. If you're a photographer and you're making prints and you're printing and selling or exhibiting, like, this is going to do the job. But there are competition models out there where, like, if you're into that, there are offerings, and a lot of people like them.
Yeah. And
there's some other advantages that we'll talk about, I think, with those when it comes to starting to do production versus maybe a limited edition or something like that. So that's the 7370, 9370. That is 10 colors. So we've gone from 6 colors to 7 to 10. Now we're going to move into 11 colors, which we are now going to move back to Canon.
Yeah, we're like seesawing back and forth.
Yeah. Interesting. And that brings us to the GP 2000, 4000.
Yep.
So you'll start noticing on the numbers, Canon has 2, 4, 6. The 2 is 24 inch, the 4 is 44 inch, the 6 is 60 inch.
Yep.
And on the S, they had a 4600, 6600, which means they have a 44 and 60. But on the GP 2000, 4000, there is no 60. It's a 24 and 44.
24 inch, 44 inch.
So that's just good to know. But now we're in 11 colors.
Yep.
So you get your standard CMYK.
Yep.
And then you're going to get, and they're black, they call photo black. And then they also have a matte black. So now we're at 5 colors. You got gray for the 6th color. And then they get wild.
They get funky.
Red, orange, green, violet, and
fluorescent pink.
Radiant infusion.
Yeah. So this is, while it's not Canon's most quantity of ink in an ink set, they have more inks coming, 12 colors. This is their highest gamut because they put in this fluorescent pink. They have the orange. They have a lot of colors that boost the gamut, which is not necessarily what a photographer would want, but it allows for these applications that are just mind-blowing when you see how bright the oranges are, or you're printing a sunset, or you're printing brand colors. You can hit this gamut that's crazy. So these are cool. And they have something that no other printer in our segment does, and that's this fluorescent pink ink. So just a very bright, very vivid, high-vis ink.
Do you know on archivability, how does all that play into it?
It shares the ink set with the other printers. So most of the inks are overlaps. It's the fluorescent pink that isn't, and I'm not sure what the archivability is on the fluorescent ink. But this one isn't really geared at the customer that wants to have the most archival ink set, right? Like they would say the 12 color ink set that is coming in the printer we're going to talk about in a minute. Mm-hmm. That's the one you should use if you want museum quality and you want your work to outlive your grandkids.
Well, that is important to some people. I'm just trying to get my kids out of the house. We're in that 10-year phase, that sprint of getting them from grade school to launched. Is that what they call it?
Launched.
There
just enjoy every day, Jeff.
You're right.
You're going to miss it.
All right. So that's 11. I think we move to another Canon from here. And I have a reason. Because we talk about it being 12 inks, but is it 12 inks?
Good. Yeah.
I think this next printer is highest quality gamut that you can get from a Canon printer. But I would say it is 12 inks, but the 12th ink is what's called the optimizer, chroma optimizer.
Yep.
So there's 11 colors, and then there's the chroma optimizer.
Yeah. And it doesn't have the orange and the violets and the fluorescent ink. So it's not the highest gamut, but we would say probably it has the most, it gives you the best chance at accurate color and pleasing photographic prints. And so do you want to rattle off the inks?
Well, yeah. So we haven't actually said what the printer is yet.
Oh yeah. Well, big reveal right here.
All right. We talked about that 246 numerology. So the Pro 2600, 4600, 6600. So this highest quality that we're talking about, right?
Yep.
Has a 24-inch, 44-inch, and 60-inch model available. And you're going to have these 11 colors plus the chroma optimizer. So CMYK, like we've been talking about, matte black, that's 5. Now you got photo cyan, photo magenta. You have gray, photo gray, red, and blue. Some new color there, blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the chroma optimizer. So that would be 11 plus 1.
Yep. Yeah. So the chroma optimizer, let's talk about that because that's, if you're doing gloss paper prints, the chroma optimizer gives you the best uniformity over the surface of your paper. So when you take a gloss paper and you put an ink on top of it, you're going to block out the gloss characteristics of the paper underneath it. Just a little bit, but you will. And what the chroma optimizer does is it lays a consistent gloss finish over all of the inks that you've just printed using that chroma optimizer. And so you get a more consistent output on glossy media.
And it's also going to help with durability and like the scratchability a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. No, I'm right.
Okay. Take it to the
bank.
All
I have to do is say I'm right,
and I'm
right. Take it to the bank. What about, so when you were talking about on a gloss media, the ink's going to cover some of it up, then you put the gloss back on. So then could I use a satin paper where maybe I think I need a gloss if I'm using this printer, or
even
a
on
matte
a satin
paper?
It's going to help you look, it's going to help the uniformity because it's that metamerism where you get different, you get a different look to the ink based on the lighting condition and the angle you're viewing it from. And so when you put something consistent over it, it's not like a varnish where it's going to make everything glossier. It's just going to make it all look the same.
Consistent.
So that you, yeah.
So if I'm printing if I'm looking to print matte, it's not going to mess that up for me.
No. And I'm not even sure that it's used on matte papers.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so that rounds out the Canon. We'll come back and do a quick summary at the end. But now we're going to move to 12 colors, which is the Epson. And they have, I don't know how you'd classify this. So they have their P7570, 9570, and then there's a 20,570.
Yeah.
Would you put those in a row?
Yeah, now I would.
When we talk about color gamut, the inks, we would put it in a row. When you come to the visual look of it, they have redesigned the P20,000 so that the 7570, 9570 look more like the old 9890s, I would say.
Yeah. So
that same body style.
Totally. And so it's the P7370, P9370, P7570, P9570, all those printers, they all look exactly the same from the outside.
Yeah.
And then the P20,570 kind of sits on its own, where it's a totally different design. It's not just a longer version.
Yeah.
Totally. It's a white.
It almost favors the 6570, 8570 color schematic of the lighter. Yeah. But looks aside, because we're talking about printing stuff from a printing perspective, We're going to put 7570, 9570, and the 20,000. So 20570 in a row. And that's going to be 24 inch, 44 inch. When Epson goes into that, the widest version, it's actually a 64 inch printer, not a 60 inch printer. So Canon has 60 inch. So if there is some application where you're like, I absolutely need something that's wider than 60, then you're going to have to look at the Epson P20570.
Yep. Make sure you check that your paper is available in that size.
Yeah. So you do all that, and then all you could buy is a 60 inch.
There's only so many papers, but we can get them custom made for you.
Oh, there you go. Andy's custom paper mill.
Yeah.
No, but we can, but it's not Andy's custom paper mill. It's Jeff's paper mill. All right. So it's 12 colors. You want to give it a go?
Yeah. CMYK.
Okay.
And the K is photo and matte. So that's 5 total colors.
5, yep.
Light cyan, light magenta.
Got it.
Orange, violet, green. Did I say light cyan, light magenta?
You did.
Wait. Oh, it's grays. Gray and light gray.
Gray and light gray. You did it. Congratulations.
I'm very proud of myself.
I'm going to give you a mini pecan pie at the end of this podcast. We've been having a great debate. Is it pecan, or pecan? And we did a big survey, and it's pecan.
It's definitely pecan.
Except for about 6 people in our office who are adamant it is pecan.
Yeah.
And they're wrong.
They're the least trustworthy in terms of pronunciations.
Yeah. We do think, though, when you're like having some sweet tea and pecan pie, you can do it like that. If you're just going to slow it down and you're just going to sit on the rocking chair out front, maybe you're in Mississippi,
this
Georgia.
Podcast goes to the whole country.
Yeah, I'm saying that it's completely appropriate. But we're recording this from Chicago. It's pecan pie here. But if I ever travel down to Georgia and I'm having some sweet tea, I'm going to ask for some pecan pie.
Yeah. When in Rome.
Love it. All right. So that's 12 inks. One thing to note now. So on the Canons, right? So we talked about 246, 24, 44, 60. All these printers we talked about, from the GP 2000, 4000, GP 4600S, 6600S, and the Pro 2600, 4600, 6600. When it comes to ink capacity, because another thing to consider is how much ink am I going to put into the machine? How does that impact my cost effectiveness when I'm actually trying to sell or run a business? They're going to all come in 160 milliliter, 330 milliliter, or 700 milliliter options. All 3 of them, and you can mix and match how you want because it's all cartridge based. So that's the ink volume on the Canon. When you get into the Epson, it's a little different because on those first printers we talked about, right, the 6570 and 8570, you're at 110, 350, and 700. And then it sort of it jumps a little bit on the entry level to standardize at 150, 350, and 700. So the 6570, 8570 has a 110 option.
That was always the starter cartridge volume. I don't know if that's changed.
Maybe it's...
The other thing to consider too is the bulk ink options. So you have bulk ink available on the P8570DL. So if you want 1.6 liter bags, then that 6 color ink set gives you that option. Or you can look at the 12 coloring set if you want the flagship. So you want the largest gamut, you want the biggest inks, you want the best of the best. Then you could look at the P20570, which has 1.6 liter bags as well.
So sitting in the middle of that is the 7370, 9370, 7570, 9570. Those are at 150, 350, and 700. And you have these different options. But like Andy was saying, at the P20570, there's one option. It is 1.6 liter bags of ink. So you have to think about that because it could be $5,000 to $7,000 for a set of ink because there's so much.
Yep. Yeah. Every printer on our list comes with ink except for the P20570. So in the Epsons, you get 110 milliliters, I believe. Maybe it's 150 with some of the models, but I think it's 110 on all of them with the printer. On the Canons, you get 330 milliliters per ink with the printers. And with the P20570, you get 0 inks with the printer. So you got to pay for the full ink set.
Yeah, I mean the price of the ink is built into any printer price. So either they're going to lower the printer price or not, and they probably didn't want the printer to be a $16,000 printer.
Yeah. And if you're buying a printer that's that caliber with that big of inks as the only option, there's no cartridge or smaller option, then the cost of the ink really, like buying an ink set, shouldn't probably be your main hurdle.
All right, I've received word the P6570 and 8570.
Wait. Breaking news.
Breaking news. It is a 110, 350, or 700 option when you buy inks.
Okay.
But like you were saying, on the 7370, it does come with 110 milliliter starter cartridges, as does the 7570, 9570. So
this is the kind of hard-hitting news that you come to expect from the extended gamut.
I don't know though, because on a different part, I can read here. It says on the retail cartridge fill volume, 150, 350, 700. But on the ink ordering, it talks about 110, 350, 700.
We might have a typo.
Wow.
We might have a typo, guys.
We might have found something big.
Might have a typo.
We might have found something big. All right. So really, we're here to just talk about the different models and the different colors and the gamut, and just trying to make a decision. So hopefully some of that's helpful. There's other things to consider. Which printers can print borderless? Are there other parts of things, other things you're trying to accomplish? Is space a constraint? Do you need something that has a dual roll option? Do you ever need to print on flat boards? And is that workflow important? I mean,
yep.
Those are all things you have to consider, and they each have different options available. So we have staff here ready to help sort of walk you through making that decision. But we just thought this might be helpful for anyone seeing 14 different printers and saying, where do I even start? Or what should I maybe not even consider and spend time? Because most people are going to come down to 2 or 3 models because they're going to know the width. And then they're going to say, all right, I'm comparing between this and that, or these 3. Help me make a decision. So hopefully this was helpful.
Yeah. I don't think it's hard to make a bad decision on all these printers. So, but we can help kind of steer you towards what we think would be the best decision based on what your needs are, what your priorities are. So give us a call.
All right. Hope this was helpful. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time on the Extended Gamut Podcast.